Yo, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, in today's video, we're going to go ahead and react to what Bryce Mitchell had to say in his very first episode of his brand new podcast. Now, I think that he started off with a freaking banger, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and react to this clip.
Hitler, hell and the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays. They were gaying out the kids. They were queering out the women. They were queering out the dudes. They were, you know what her first tranny surgery ever was? Happened to be in Germany before Hitler took over. You know the books that everybody makes fun of Hitler burning? You know what the books was? Queer books. Hitler burned queer books because Hitler didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. They can't produce children.
But what
Jesus, bro. Okay, look, I'm going to go ahead and be honest. I've heard multiple takes like Bryce Mitchell's online. If you guys are in Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you know that there's always that one guy out there that's just defending Hitler. And like his main point of argument is just like, bro, just do your own research. But my honest opinion is that when the hell, did we see a resurgence as Hitler being like some great guy? Like when did this idea like come from? Like, I understand people argument whenever they say that, oh, Hitler was a guy that had the gall to get stuff done in his country, but as if we don't know that Hitler was kind of indifferent about death. He was like pretty much evil and cruel. Would you say that that's a good guy or a good person? I definitely wouldn't. But in my honest opinion, I feel like someone like Bryce Mitchell, you have to like sit down and kind of like talk to them and kind of logic your way into just getting them to stop saying dumb shit. If I'm being completely honest, I feel like Bryce Mitchell thinks a certain type of way because of his personal beliefs with religion, in my honest opinion. But I do get where he's coming from. And granted, I'm not saying that I agree with him, but we have to understand where he's coming from, because in order for us to combat this type of idea, we first have to see it from a person's perspective before we go ahead and counter with some of the dumb shit that people like this say all the goddamn time on the like I said, I don't know or at what point people just started coming up with these insane freaking takes on the internet that pretty much say that Hitler was a good guy, because that's an insane freaking take. That's an insane freaking take. But let's go ahead and listen to what Dana White had to say about this clip.
The Bryce stuff, I think that's a great statement that you just gave. Does Bryce Mitchell face a punishment from the UFC for saying what
That's what everybody wants to hear about punishments. Free speech. I don't have to love it. You don't have to love it.
I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. And I 100% agree with Dana White. I don't think that we should silence anybody saying some dumb shit. We shouldn't silence anybody out there for saying dumbass things on the internet. I do it sometimes too. I have some pretty crazy takes as well, but I also have logic behind them. But I don't think that anybody should silence what I think, because if somebody out there thinks that they have a better take, I would like to combat my merits and my logic against them. You know what I'm saying? If I think strongly about something. Anyways, I think that this is the correct take from Dana White. Dana White is saying that, hey, look, free speech at the end of the day. If you don't like it, you don't have to like it. But it is what it is. You can't silence him either. It's just Bryce Mitchell.
I agree with that, the free speech sentiment. Is there a concern, though, right, if he goes out and wins a fight and gets a mic?
Well, that's the beautiful thing about this business. For all of you that hate Bryce Mitchell, you get to see him hopefully get his ass whooped on global television. I mean, what do you want me to say about it? You know where I am with free speech. We're disgusted by it. I think he's probably one of the dumbest, literally one of the dumbest human beings. Let's not forget that this is a guy who took a drill through his nutsack, then had to reverse it and put the drill back out of his. That's the level of stupid that we're talking about here. And I could probably go on for 10 minutes talking about how dumb Bryce Mitchell is. But guess what? Bryce Mitchell has a podcast.
I believe this was episode 1.
What a way to start. But that's the world that we live in now. Dumb people who are really stupid and really ignorant can have a voice.
That's insane. And that is very, very true. But in today's day and age, obviously, there's going to be some people out there that are going to be super duper offended and say that, Bryce Mitchell doesn't deserve a platform and that Bryce Mitchell, should be kicked out of the UFC. I think that's a little bit too far. I do think that Bryce Mitchell should face consequence, but in the way that people might not think. When I say consequence, I think that there should be appropriate reaction, but not in like any type of extreme way. I think that people should definitely sit down and try to, have a conversation with Bryce Mitchell whenever they exchange or pretty much have a debate on this specific topic. I don't think that Bryce Mitchell should be kicked out of the UFC or anything like that. I just think that if he has such an extreme freaking take, he should publicly debate that take with somebody that knows what the fuck they're talking about regarding history and regarding Hitler, and I think that that should be live broadcasted so that anybody out there could potentially see Bryce Mitchell not only get probably beat in the debate, but look as stupid as he freaking can in front of a live freaking audience. I think that that's an appropriate, punishment or whatever you call it, result of what Bryce Mitchell did. Because at least it gives Bryce Mitchell an opportunity to defend his beliefs. But at the same time, somebody could refute it. Somebody could argue against it. And somebody could definitely beat probably Bryce Mitchell in the debate. But that's probably the most appropriate action, I think, that needs to happen based on this. And that's even willing if, Bryce Mitchell agrees to some of that. But let's go ahead and keep watching this.
We don't have to agree with it. We don't have to like it. I'm giving you mine and the UFC's position on what he had to say. And this is no different than things that I've said about Strickland, But I will say this. Out of all the dumb, ignorant shit I've heard in my life, this has to be the dumbest and most ignorant.
Last thing from me on this. When you spoke to Bryce about it and said, this is disgusting, did he have any sort of like, oh, I was just talking, or did he walk it back at all?
His thing was, I'm sorry if I put you guys in any position and,
But not sorry for saying.
He's stupid. He's dumb. You can't fix dumb people. You know what I mean? When you have somebody that's really, really stupid, and that's who we're talking about here, what do you do? How do you talk sense to a dummy?
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much sums it up. I think that Bryce Mitchell probably ruined his career. I think that this is never going to be a good look. I think that if Bryce Mitchell does get beat up in his next fight or get knocked out, I think that the entire community is just going to be on his ass like crazy. I think that, maybe Bryce Mitchell needs a different view of perspective. He needs to hear people out that definitely know what they're talking about in terms of history regarding that person. And I just think that that's what needs to happen. I don't think that Bryce Mitchell needs to get kicked out of the UFC. I don't think that he needs to be, beat up by like a mob of fans, physically. I don't think he deserves to get his ass whooped. I don't think any of that should happen to Bryce Mitchell. I just think Bryce Mitchell needs to sit down with somebody so they could give him a different point of view and see if he's willing to change his mind. That's pretty much it. Like I said, in order to understand or change somebody's position on on a take, you have to pretty much get their perspective and see what they're thinking, and that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment section below. I think that Bryce Mitchell definitely messed up. He's in for a rough one. I will say that. As always, it's a pleasure. Peace out. Have a good one.